Good evening. Welcome to the Trails Committee meeting tonight, 9:13. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:33. And we'll do a roll call vote. When I call your name, let me know that you're here. Satyendra Sharma.
Here.
Tom McCoolier.
Here.
Isabella Bogdansky.
Here.
And Kat McKee here. Great. And so for the record, Will Warren will be joining us. He's just not here yet. Okay, so I circulated the minutes. Thank you, Sati. And so does anyone have any questions about them, or do you want me to pull them up if you want to take a quick look? Okay, good. I have Will coming in right there.
I don't have any questions, but my last name is misspelled twice in it.
Oh, Sati.
It's a mouthful, I know.
I think that's my fault. I'm gonna take the
It's okay.
I'm gonna take the credit for that. But thank you for your attention to detail. It's a test and you passed. Woo. Okay, let me pull that up. Oh, I actually have it up. Will, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
I was actually hanging out, waiting. I had the link up and everything, but I think sometimes it doesn't connect correctly if you are waiting before the host comes in. So I just logged off and logged back on, and here I am.
Oh, good. Hey, Bella, what is wrong with the name Bogdansky? Bogdanski? Is it Y?
It's the second time my name's mentioned and the last time my name is mentioned.
In the 8:16 minutes?
Yes.
Oh, I see. It's not looking. That's why I'm doing it, trying to do a search.
Yeah, the first time it's missing the K, and the last time it's missing, well, there's a D instead of an S.
Oh, I got it. Yep, you're right. Okay, thank you. Got them both. Okay, good. So, Will, we were just going through the minutes. I corrected two name misspells for Isabella. She gets the prize for the most misspelled names in the minutes so far.
Well, I guess I'm up to date now then. That's fine.
Okay.
That's the most important thing, is get the name spelled right.
Absolutely. So, and did you have an opportunity to take a look at them? Do you want me to pull them up on the screen?
Yeah, I was just looking at them actually. I guess I wanted to ask, well, we can get into it in the meeting, but yeah, it looks good. They look fine to me. I'll be interested to know, you had a lot of things about, pending funding. I'd like to know where that stands.
Yeah, I've got some great updates. Okay, great. So if there are not any other questions or discussion on the minutes, can I get a motion to approve the 8/16/2022 minutes?
So moved. And I think we just lost Sati.
I
there
said
He's back. He's back.
Okay, there you are.
Okay, you good, Sati?
Yeah, I lost my connection.
Oh,
I move to accept the minutes of August 16th as presented with the correction for Isabella Bogdansky's name.
thank you, Tom. And do we have a second?
I second.
Great, thank you. And let's do a roll call vote. Tom McCoolier.
Yes.
Kat McKee. Oh, yes. Satyendra Sharma.
Yes.
Will Warren.
Yes.
Isabella Bogdansky.
Yes.
Great.
With, I guess, with the changes, right?
Yeah, as amended.
Right.
Yeah, as corrected. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, great. So now we're still current. So I did want the committee to know that we had a volunteer citizen, a resident step forward to volunteer for the committee. Christopher Tully submitted an activity, a volunteer citizen activity form. I did reach out to him and let him know that the committee is full. I will lament that it's too bad we don't have our associate members, because this was a perfect opportunity yet again. But that's okay. So I said to him, although we're full, you're welcome to come to our meetings. And you're also welcome, if you would like, we can put you on the distribution list and you can help us, we can reach out to you. And if you're interested in helping us do, routine maintenance and storm damage cleanup, he said, absolutely. So we've got him on that. So that's great news. Does anyone know Christopher Tully? No.
I do not know him.
But thank you, Christopher, for coming forward. Okay, so then the next item is the memorandum of agreement from DCR, the Trails Agreement. So I was hoping that the select board could take that vote last meeting on the 7th, but the legal counsel had not reviewed the agreement in full. So we're still waiting on that to be reviewed. And then I'm hoping that the item will be on the 9/20 meeting. I'm going to reach out to Mr. Purple and ask him if Jay has provided any feedback on that agreement and see where we are with that. So that agreement just gives the Trails Committee permission to do work and maintenance on the properties that we oversee. So.
Now, is that one for the all-encompass or the 9/11 one or the aqueduct?
Right. So it's for everything that DCR owns in town.
Okay.
So, but it's not the public access plan. So the public access plan is different.
Yeah.
That gives everybody access, but this gives the Trails Committee authority to do maintenance and such and maintain the trails. Okay. So no new update, but we should have an update shortly. I hope that will be finished up on the 20th. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the DCR Trails Conference last time. So
Can I just ask one last question? Is that agreement has to be signed every year or is it every 3 years?
No, so the last agreement expired in 2021. And I think this agreement, I think it's for 10 years. Okay. So they've extended the length. I think it's 10 years. It used to be 5 with an renewal period. But I thought this might be 10. So it's either, 5 with a couple of renewal options or 10.
And this includes the 9/11 loop and the other little part of it.
Well, it includes 9/11 trails. Remember last conversation, I kept it broad so that if we wanted to slide another one in there, that we might get permission to do so. And this the agreement would at least be broad enough to cover such.
Yep.
And this agreement gives us what, or what are we agreeing to?
Right. So it gives us the agreement between DCR and the town of Southborough to do trail maintenance on DCR property to maintain the trail, the established trails.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. Any other questions on that? Great. So the DCR conference that I talked about last time that'd be really good for as many of us who want to go could go is the Saturday, November 12th. So we still have some time. I don't think they've opened up registration yet. They typically have the one-day conference on the 12th, and then they'll have on Thursday and Friday some workshops. So they might have a trail building workshop, or they might have a couple of trail walks where you can go see what other towns or communities are doing for projects. So those are always interesting. I attended a trail building workshop. So if they have any of that, I'll probably do that because I'm particularly interested in working, just learning what we can. So I'll let you guys know once registration's open. And if you're interested, we have a budget. We can, pay for registration. It's usually around $40 or $50 a person. Okay, so that's that. Next up is Heritage Day. So Heritage Day is it's Indigenous People Day. Is that been officially changed versus Columbus Day? I want to be appropriate. So it's the I don't know what it is going to be the 10th this year, that Monday. And so we talked about, I think the committee agreed last time to do a booth. So if we're still in agreement, I can take the 10th off and do a booth. We talked about a lot of our materials, our maps and things like that. We have laminated, we can just reuse that. So we don't have an additional cost. There may be some cost to some of the new trails that we've established that we want to publish or publicize. And we talked a little bit about, so has anyone else, can anyone else commit with me? It's really, the booth needs to have a couple people at least. Sati and I did it last year, and we were busy the whole time. It'd be nice you know, if we could, you know, have a little bit more representation, even if you're there for a couple of hours, maybe during the busiest times. So, you know, you don't have to be there for setup or close down, but maybe in the peak hours is when we get the most visitors. It's nice to have a few people that can talk to others. Does anyone else want to commit? I know it's tricky with work schedules.
What is the hours of Heritage Day again?
So we have to set up between 8 and 9, 9:30, because there's a parade. I think the parade's around 10. This
Okay,
is
so it's really 10
give or
to
take.
what?
10 to 2 are really the peak hours, right? And I think we're there until 3-ish. People start leaving around between 2 and 3. Does that sound right, Sati?
Yeah, that's correct.
I was gonna say I can commit because that is a work day for me, but I have nothing in my calendar and I'll make an appointment.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it could be an hour, Tom, right?
Yeah,
If
that's
you
what I'm thinking. I'm
pick
gonna
lunch
do
hour.
like 10 to, I'm just gonna say 10 to, I'm gonna try to stay at 10 to 12.
I can come for the setup.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sati.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always great to have someone help set up.
I'll do at least 10 to 11, maybe 10 to 12.
Okay.
I will be there at least some of the time, maybe the entire time.
Okay.
But I'll be sort of splitting my time between the Rotary booth and the Trails booth.
Yep, that's fine. That works out great. Thank you, guys.
I can also commit time. I can do from 12 to 2.
Oh, thank you,
Great.
guys.
So we have people. Okay.
This might be the first year that we've had a full staff. Like, I'm so excited. Thank you.
What is the date of Heritage Day?
It is
The
10/10.
10th, Monday.
The 10th of October. Okay.
Yeah, great. And I have the pop-up tent. I have the Southborough Trails Committee banner that the former Trails Committee paid for and purchased. So we've got all that. And yeah, I think, we talked a little bit about doing a raffle or something. And Bella, you always come up with these wonderful creative ideas about maybe a membership to the botanical garden or something. I might be botching up, but I don't know if you've had an opportunity to reach out to them to see if there was anything that they wanted to donate or.
No, I've not yet, but I can definitely ask them.
Are we going to be soliciting donations of any type?
That's a great idea. So why not? Well, I mean,
everybody and their uncle's asking for donations on that day.
All right, maybe we reverse it, because I don't mean to say this, but this year we've been very blessed with a lot of money that's come in from grants and ARPA and such. Maybe this year we try to give back and reverse that, and we give out something instead of take in. Maybe that's
I was gonna say I have a label maker. I can print these sort of 2-inch by 4-inch badge kind of things. So if there's something you'd like to be able to plaster on people if they swing by the booth, I can certainly.
I just want to see that label maker.
No, it's nice. I mean, we could put the Trails logo and something about Trails, just if people were interested in wearing it. So think about that.
Yeah.
We're not going to be. Are we having another meeting before Heritage Day? Because if we're going to think about it, this is the time to think about.
Yeah.
it.
No. This is the think tank time, right, Tom? And we might need one more meeting just because of the bylaw that we're going to be talking about and how that because we're getting dissolved. The select board is going to dissolve us as ad hoc, and then we become standing. So we're going to talk about that later, but that's happening, we hope, next week. And so we might need another meeting, depending on if my plan works or not. We might need another meeting to appoint officers or something. So I'm not quite sure, but yeah, so let's consider this our think meeting. So if we were to, so we talked a little bit about giveaways, right? So what is the name of, again, Isabella? Is it the Botanical Garden?
England Botanic Garden at Tower Hill.
That's a very lovely place. I don't know if you've ever been there, but a lot of people go there. It's a great venue. They have a nice the lights in the wintertime, the Christmas
Yes,
lights.
I've seen those. Yes.
Yeah, we're actually doing setup for that now.
Really?
Yeah.
It takes that much time. Wow.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So I love the membership idea. Since we're trails, I mean, I don't know what we could try to approach REI or Dick's Sporting Goods to see if those corporate donations might take a lot longer than we have for time frame, but maybe some managers of those stores, local stores, might have some authority to say yay or nay to that.
We can just give it, like I say, like a day pass for the botanical or whatever we get from REI, sign up, and that way there we can have their names and emails, and they have to sign up at the website.
Yeah, maybe an REI membership. Maybe that would be something that REI.
What is an REI membership?
It's just the best thing you could ever have in your life.
It's a catalog store for camping equipment. Very good camping equipment.
Oh, I know what REI is, but I didn't know you need a membership.
Membership, yeah.
Well, no, membership, this is the deal. So you have to, well, I spend too much money there, so I get a lot of rebates, but you get credit if the money you spend, if you're spending it on full price items, really not sale price items, but whatever you spend throughout the year, you'll get like dividends. You'll get something back, like a credit union does sometimes. So that's one perk, but they also have special sales for just members. There's all sorts of wonderful things you can do with your membership. And REI is just great because they also have a return policy now. You don't want to use it and abuse it, but if, for example, you buy boots and you need to return them, you have up to a year. And some of that gear is really expensive. Like if you bought a tent and you're like, oh, darn, that tent's not really going to work for me, they'll take it back. And then they sell it in their garage sales. So it's just a wonderful company. And they treat their employees great. Anyway, I'll stop there. So maybe we could get them, donate either a membership or, like something trails related, either a walking stick or a pair of trekking poles, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just some fun giveaways. And I don't know, I mean, if let me ask the committee this, if we can't get donations set up in this time frame, would we be willing to spend $50? And I guess I would want to clear this with Tim Davis to make sure that we are allowed to do something like that. Like, would we be willing to spend $50 to purchase something to do a giveaway if we're allowed to do so?
I would say yes. My vote would be yes. If we don't get a free donation from either Botanicals or REI, we use our budgeted money for advertising at Heritage Day to get email addresses into our website or our notification.
Yeah, the e-alert.
I would agree with spending the money as well.
Okay, so let's take a vote on that because that is money related, and I think we should make a standard policy. If we're going to spend money, let's do official votes so we have a record of it. So I'll make a motion that we spend up to $50 to purchase one or two items to do a giveaway at Heritage Day if we're not able to get, donations. So do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Great. And so let's do a roll call vote. Will Warren?
Aye.
Isabella Bogdansky?
Yes.
Satyendra Sharma?
Yes.
Tom McCollier?
Yes.
Great. Motion passes. Thank you. So yeah, that'll be fun. I think that kind of spices it up a little bit. We've never done anything like that. We're kind of giving back to the community as they've really supported us. So I think that'll be nice. And we can promote our adopted trail. So that's some of the work that we should be thinking about. Like we have more trails now. So we could expand. Tom, you were thinking at one point about that map. Remember, we have a map of basically the Sudbury Reservoir Trail overlapping those other three trails. We can kind of revisit that. I don't mind the sections being where they are, but we have all these other new trails that, we have Temple.
We have to update it and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so we can add new sections and see if we can get Adopt a Trail people involved in that way. And we can revisit some of the people who have reached out to say, hey, I want to help. Like Christopher Tully, maybe he wants to be a volunteer. Maybe Tony Schooner, who is not a Trails Committee member anymore, but he lives off of Constitution Drive-ish, and he could be a volunteer he already does the work at the Liberty Estates Trail, right? So maybe we could give him an official title and say, thank you, Tony. Things like that.
Yep, yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, great. So we might want one more meeting before Columbus Day just to kind of, this is what we're doing, this is what we have, and this is how it's going to go down. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Great. And we did talk about, and this is on a topic today, we did talk about maybe having let the Heritage Day be a kickoff for a hike series, because remember our Choate Fund 2022 grant funds a number of hikes that we need to get underway. So we could do some planning around the hiking, and we need to cooperation from our hike leaders. So we would need to connect with them. And I did put together just a quick schedule for us to look at, just to see dates, to see what as collection, what we might be able to do. So give me just a second to pull that up. I realize I pull up so many spreadsheets and then I don't know where I'm at.
While you're pulling, I was wondering if perhaps we might want to solicit ideas on Heritage Day from people about what kind of hikes they'd like to see us organize.
Ooh, I like that, Will.
Well, during that sign up stuff, when they come to the booth, we say, these are the type of hikes that we're potentially scheduling. And you can make a check mark next to them. Are you interested in this one, or any other one?
Yeah.
Well, let's have a big poster board and we could do color dots or something. Like put your color dots, like the master plan. Remember how controversial that was?
Yeah, we can do that.
I love it.
I can get some color dots that or whatever. I know where to get those.
I might know a person who knows a person who has some color dots.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that'd be even better. Yeah.
But let me see if that company will donate the color dots, because we used them a long time ago and we've never had a purpose for them. So I'll check on the color dots. But that,
yeah, I'm just thinking we could sort of solicit, ideas from the community, or having them vote on different types of hikes would be great as well. That's right.
That is brilliant. I really love it.
But that's sort of giving back, right? I mean,
yeah, it absolutely is. And it's shaping what we're doing based on what their feedback is, which is just perfect. Okay, I'm going to share screens now. Okay, so you should be seeing a spreadsheet that says fall guided hike options. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, so these are dates that we have this year, and it stops right, it stops right before Thanksgiving, right? Because Thanksgiving is on the 26th. Okay, and so there's a couple of considerations. One is Columbus Day is 10/8, so we could do something before Columbus Day.
But you know what? Let's let. Well, yeah, we could probably do something before Heritage Day. I'm going to say.
You know what? Because hunting season, the other thing we have to consider is, and hunting really only affects, remember, Peninsula Trail. We have to share our trail with the hunters. So what we could do is do a nice, we've done, a couple of hikes on the new trail, but we've never done a guided hike on the new trail when it was open to the public, right? So this could be a nice big, hey, open to the public now, come see what you can do over here. And we've had DCR do a guided hike. They did a history hike once. And so we could do the same thing if Andy wanted to join us, or we could do a twist on it or something. What do you guys think?
No, I mean, I always enjoy it personally.
Yeah. And we could really take some, and remember, we have those 2 binders now, the 3-ring binders of all those historical pictures of the dam being built. So that was kind of a popular thing. We passed that around during the hike. So people are just like looking at all and the pictures we got off of was it, I forget the name of it, Digital Commonwealth. They have all of those historical pictures. So we pulled a ton of them off about the building of the Sudbury Dam, the Sudbury Reservoir. Really interesting stuff. So we could do a repeat of that. And that was pretty popular. I mean, we had, I think, up to 30 people attend that.
Wow.
Yeah. So that might be something worthy of repeating, but we would want to do it before archery season opens up on the 3rd. And that Saturday 10/1, that does happen to be Youth Deer Day, but I don't know how many youth are going to go into this piece of property to shoot deer. So, I mean, I can't, so what do you guys think? about leveraging one of those days. Now the 24th is next, that might be a little close, might be the 25th. I think that was about the date we did it last year, the 25th-ish.
I mean, I'm okay with doing it on the 1st if it slips.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
as the kids
actually,
stay together on the road, we're pretty loud and.
Yeah, and actually it depends on Andy's work schedule. He works on Saturdays. I don't think he works on Sundays. I think that's how it worked. So do we want to try to get Andy again?
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
good.
I thought Andy was great. This
Yeah.
sounds like another good idea.
Yeah, great. So we'll figure out like a way to, I think the draw this time is not so much like it's a sneak peek, but we could.
Are we just doing this just on those dates just to get away from the hunting season? Because I think we'll get a lot more people if we actually tell people about it at Heritage Day. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well,
I understand the goodness about doing it before hunting. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But the goodness, the advantage of after Heritage Day is we can have a lot of people show up for this Peninsula Trail hike.
Okay.
I'm just leaving it out there.
Yeah. So that's a good point. That's one option. The other option is we need to do the proposal from Choate Fund Grant was using yoga on the trail, using our forest bathing opportunity and our nature hike with, that kind of stuff. And so the question is,
that
do we
could still
see that
fall on
trail?
it could be a history hike. It could be a history hike that we might, a historian that do the hike instead of Andy or with Andy.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, but who we talked about maybe connecting. We actually need to reconnect with the Historical Commission because it's had some turnover since we had our letter of support. So I don't know if everyone on the committee remembers who we are and what they're going to help us do. But that might be an option to see if there's anyone on the Historical Commission who's wise enough about the information, who wants to do something about it, that wants to participate. Would that be a first choice? And then Andy, no, there's no harm in Andy doing it.
No, Andy should be there anyways. I think it's good that Andy's there. It shows goodwill too and everything.
Maybe it's a special invitation to Historical to join us and participate in adding anything they know about. Yeah.
Do you have a member that would like to add commentary?
Yeah, because Michael Weischen joined us last time. You remember Michael and Rebecca, her name is Rose something. Rebecca joined us as well. And Patty Sati, I think Patty, did she join us for that hike?
Yes, she did.
Yeah. So she's a history buff, right? Okay, not so much.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, so you want to invite Andy, is that right?
Yes.
And you want to someone from
and then we'll see, Historical Commission.
Yep. And if not, if we strike out with the Historical Commission, would it be wise to try to reach out to community members who might be very well versed in history and see if they want to join us and add color to the conversation?
I have no issue with that.
Sounds good.
So that's inviting, the community to participate and step up.
Now, are we targeting the 1st or are we just targeting, we're just putting it there?
I don't know. I chose the Saturday because, the Saturday, the 24th is next Saturday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. That seems a little short notice.
Yeah, definitely next Saturday's out.
And I don't know if Saturday is a really good idea because of sports. Who has kids anymore? Nobody. Yeah, so I think, did I forget to put Sunday the 2nd? I did. There was no reason I shouldn't have. So really, if we're going to have Andy, we may be dependent upon his schedule, right? And I don't know if he's working a Saturday or Sunday. so that might dictate. So how are we with these 2 dates, one of them, and we'll figure it out in the next couple of days, see what works.
I'm personally out of town that weekend, so
Okay.
When is that?
recuse myself.
Well, we could with the 25th. See,
I think we're trying to rush it in, I think.
I think it's too soon as well. So what we could do, because I want you to be there, is we could just skip this weekend because, you know, it's good foliage weekend for me to go somewhere and go look at some leaves. And we could, is there any harm in trying to do it? Is Columbus Day a big weekend for people to be gone?
I don't know. Look at the turnout at Heritage Day. I guess that answers that question.
Yeah, they're around then. I mean, we could maybe try something that weekend.
Yeah, we could try something that weekend.
Yeah.
And then we can put it on the whole Heritage Day weekend calendar. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So let's try that. And okay. So then let's see. So we talked about maybe kicking off. So if we have folks do voting for what kinds of hikes they want, it would be nice if we had one already lined up that we could start advertising, right? And we're trying to get a hike under our Choate Fund grant done, right? So if we were going to do something the next weekend after Heritage Day, which is actually, I'm out of town that weekend, but I don't have to be there if someone could cover. So this would be the 10, 16, 10, 15. We could do, you know, some of the options we had was we could do Erin Flowers, do the forest bathing, or we could do yoga on the trails. Now, those 2 things we might want to consider when it's warmer, right? Like now, and you do the nature hike. If we did Dan, the guy we had come to the town forest, that might be something you can dress up for a little bit, you know, if it's a little cooler. So maybe we focus on one of those 2 activities. And since we've already done forest bathing, how about we try yoga on the trails or something?
Yeah, I would say no later than the 15th and 16th for yoga.
Okay.
Just pick, I would put both days. You can need a rain day or weather day or whatever.
Okay.
So yoga.
Let me reach out to Emma Bartolini. Actually, Isabella, do you know that Emma does yoga at the Tower Hills? Do you know her?
I don't know the yoga instructors personally, but I know that we do have a lot of different yoga instructors there.
Yeah, she does it there. So
that's cool.
Yeah, very Bartolini is her name. So I will reach out to her and see if she's available to do something on one of these dates. And then that might be something we can advertise at Heritage Day that we're going to be doing in the future, right? And then we get the votes and they can help us dictate how we do the other ones.
And when you talk to Emma, we got to find out a maximum people.
Yeah, she'll tell. She has.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a smaller group, maybe 12, something like that.
Okay.
And she might be willing to do a couple sessions. Maybe not both days, but you know, we'll see how it goes.
Do we want to have that same woman that did the
yes. Erin Flowers?
Sorry, is that her name?
Yes.
Thank you. I would have her again. We could probably slate her anytime.
Mm-hmm. Imagine doing forest bathing under a beautiful yellow, brightly yellow tree in the fall.
Zem, what are you doing? Zem.
Now, unfortunately, this is probably past peak as we're starting. You know, peak is going to, I don't know, peak is going to be weird this year because of the drought, but
then let's shoot for that weekend, the 22nd, 23rd with her.
For we could swap them if we wanted a little color still. We could do, well, yoga. I mean,
but yoga is going to get cold. You got to watch out for the cold.
Okay. All right.
Not that I'm a yoga person, but
okay, we could try.
You can push forest bathing out. It'd be kind of like a cool at the, you know, we'll call it the stick season in November.
Mm-hmm.
That could be kind of cool too, because all the leaves are off. You can see the animals, the chipmunks, the squirrels, the birds.
Chipmunks will be gone.
chickens will be gone. So you could even push that into November if we have to.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Tom. I feel like yoga, people tend to dress like a little bit more for warmer climates than like bundling up.
Yeah.
So I feel like it would probably be, better to do those dates that you guys just decided on.
I mean, this is good to present to Heritage Day. No, you can yeah, put a skip.
Well, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do if I move this here? What are we gonna do here?
What is some of the other things that?
Well, so the other one was, and it doesn't have to be this guy, Dan. Is it Dan? I forget his last name. He was the nature hike. He was the nature hike leader, the naturalist who led. He former, a ranger. He led a hike in the town forest. So, and he just talked about trees and animals and birds and all sorts of things.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Let's put him in. Put him in for that.
And I'll check with him to see what's available.
And like I said, it's okay to switch. I think the only one you have to keep the dates is the yoga. The other ones we could probably switch around. Yeah.
And the other thing is with the nature hike, we have a small budget, remember, for little hike journals or so journals like nature journals for kids. So we could promote it, with a focus on children. Some of this should be focused on children. And so, having children come out, they get a little book they get to take away and journal in it or whatever and write down their fun things. We also have a small budget for binoculars, but honestly, that might be a wonderful opportunity to try to focus on in the spring when the birds are coming out, right? And we do some sort of little bird walk with kids and, or it has to be a certain age, because I was talking with Debbie Costine. She was another leader that we want to work with. She could actually be maybe one of these too. I'll put Debbie Dan. But she mentioned that the binoculars are only going to be good for a certain age group, not younger children, because they can't focus, not focus literally eyeballs, but they can't focus on looking through binoculars. It's distracting or something. So we should look into that, but we could focus on, a little hike book or something we can give them. Okay. So we get a good little plan. If we could get like 2 or 3 in this fall, we'll be doing really good. And then we can focus the rest of it in the spring. So, okay. So let's, are we it sounds like we're in consensus that this will be a good, is the committee comfortable me reaching out to our leaders and seeing what we can arrange? And then when we meet before Heritage Day, we'll have a better plan and we'll figure it out. Okay.
Yep.
That was awesome. Thank you. Any questions or any other feedback?
How about the inclement weather? When that happens,
it's not going to rain. We're in a drought. We're fine.
Oh, okay.
No, we'll, obviously it's weather dependent. And some of this, like the forest bathing, had a few sprinkles. If it's light rain, we can advertise accordingly. The yoga might not work in the light rain. But we can, ask what the hike leaders feel comfortable doing. And some of our hikes can be, if light rain, just dress appropriately. Or, you can cancel, but if it's heavy rain, we won't do it if it's dangerous or very wet, because it's going to start to get cold. Does that sound good? Okay, great. Thank you all. Okay, so next, Mass Trails grant contracting and project kickoff planning. So Amanda Lewis reached out and said that DCR, the grant contracting is not ready yet. It should be ready by the end of the month, and that she would give us feedback on our grant proposal at the same time. So instead of making 2 appointments, we'll just wait for that to come through and she'll give us feedback on the grant. She also mentioned, and we need to talk about it tonight, that because we were given $50,000 and not what we fully asked for, we need to figure out what we're going to pay for of the project scope out of that $50,000. Okay, so we need to prepare for that tonight. And I have a proposal, but I want everybody to think about any consequences or thoughts around it, just in case it's not.
So this is, when you say we got 50,000, that's from the grant?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes.
And what about from ARPA?
Yes, so hang on just a second. I have a sheet for us, but like I said, I have 3 sheets, so give me just a second. I'm going to stop sharing just for a second.
I'll be right back and put the dog in.
You can bring the dog over if you want. I want to see the dog. I wonder if I closed it. Oh, there it is. It was hidden. Okay. Okay. Share screen. This one. Share. Okay. This is just a very, are you seeing just a basic spreadsheet with just a few numbers? Okay. So we have $47,011 from CPA funding. Mass Trails grant, $50,000. ARPA Part 1 was $144,495. That number might be slightly off, but it's close enough. ARPA 2 was $15,000, and DPW in kind was $22,000. So for the trail work itself, total of almost $280,000. This does not count the ARPA money that we had for the trail enhancements and shed.
Okay.
Which was $12,500. I'm not counting that because it doesn't apply to this Peninsula Trail project.
Now, does the ARPA 1, I guess, the 15,000, is that the crosswalk?
Yes, it is. Yeah, and
that's one of the crosswalks, right?
Right, that's the less expensive crosswalk, which is on our list to talk about. Actually, I guess it would be now. The select board voted on last week to approve the 15K. So thank you, select board, and that's great news.
So that is that's the crosswalk that goes from whither to where?
It's Sanofi, the trail parking at Route 30.
Right. Okay.
That was our part of the agreement to allow us to do parking there if we put in a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when we say sidewalk, we mean handicap accessible, have the bubble things, and then the painted lines.
Yeah.
Right.
And Sati, just for the record, Sam Stivers is in the audience, just so you can record that as a visitor. So that's that crosswalk. I did reach out to DPW to ask them. I was like, because Sanofi does not want to agree to the parking until the crosswalk is put in for safety reasons. And so I was curious if, and this might have come up in our conversation, I'm not sure, but if DPW would paint lines, if they meet with MWA and figure out the great spot for it, could they paint the lines before they put the curbs in, the curb, the ADA compliant curb, and then could that be staged in that way? And then we technically have crosswalk. So would that advance the whole situation? So
before you do that, when did DPW say they can get to that? When is it going to go out the bid? Or
I reached out to them and asked them about the shed and that. And I think we're just still waiting. So we don't have an exact timeline.
Then I don't want to say that's a bad idea, but I'd rather just find out when the timing is. If the timing is really way out there, then we can go to plan B. And I think you have a good plan B. Yeah. But if they're going to say we can fit it into the fall by chance, let's wait until we hear back, I guess, on that.
And one of the objectives is to bundle this with another public works project to keep the costs down. So our objective is to spend less than what we've been given, and in hopes, to really, use tax dollars wisely and not spend frivolously. So, that's going to also change the timing of the project.
Now, if that 15,000 turns into 10, do we still get the Delta 5, or that goes back into the operating?
Well, I think I think the idea is that it would go back into the bucket. We would need to talk very carefully with the select board. We can't go and change buckets. If, for example, though, our some of our projects costs or more in the Peninsula Trail, if we approach the select board and said, okay, we only spent 10 on the crosswalk, can we take that 5 and reallocate it? I think they might be open to that, but we want to be very transparent and just ask questions and make sure that
understood. When we
unused money doesn't get lapsed, right?
Unused money doesn't get
lapsed. You don't,
yeah. So ARPA money does have a timeline, but it's not a fiscal year timeline. It's a couple years. And
it's like 3 years, I think. But the good news with ARPA funding is that we just have to go to the select board, not to the town or any votes or anything.
It doesn't need a town vote at town.
Right.
So, so we were talking about what do we want the Mass Trails grant to pay for? And I think I'm going to put an idea out there. And the Mass Trails grant is a reimbursable grant. So we have to first pay for it from the town, from our money, and then get reimbursed by DCR. That's how that works. And we had to do a 20% match. So whatever we're spending, we have to make sure we're matching. So it's much less now that it's 50,000 is there. My proposal, and want your feedback, is to use the money for the fence, the riser shaft fence and the gate, because those two pieces equal 35 to 40. I'm saying that it depends on cost of steel and everything now that things have changed. But if you remember when we went for our CPA funding, that 47 covered the fence and the signage. So that's almost 50,000. And I think we could approach the Mass Trails grant in the same way and let that cover the fence and the signage. So the fence is the priority, the fence and the gate, moving the gate back are the priority. So if we have leftover money, whatever leftover is for signage. So that would be my proposal. It feels like the easiest. It almost makes up the total 50. And if DCR were open to that suggestion, what do you guys think?
I think it's a great idea. And the only question I have is, if we go that way, can that get done this fall?
Well, it depends, right? So ideally, yes, if the vendor is available, one.
Right.
Two, working with Mark Purple and Melanie Ostuska for a procurement process, we've confirmed that it's under 50K. We don't need to go to bid, but we do need 3 quotes, which we have received. As long as the 3 quotes we have received are still perceived as qualifying quotes, then we're good to go.
Okay.
And then
Yeah,
we
but
just have to talk with any fence about their schedule.
But that definitely doesn't have to be a formal quoting process in a sense, right?
It's not a bid,
right.
right? It's just a quote, correct.
Okay.
So that's my understanding. And so we'll be reaching out to any fence to say, hey, do you have bandwidth in your schedule? That's how that will.
With respect to if we're getting 50,000 from Mass Trails, then we have to come up with 10,000, right?
Is that, yes, whatever.
Yeah, it'd be 20%. So, and that would be in one of these other buckets. We don't have to call that out separately.
Right. It would just be in one of these other buckets. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like that idea. I say yes.
It's simple, it's clean.
Yes.
Yep. So
it allows us to move forward with that, because I drive by the Route 30, and it'd be nice if we could push back that fence or the gate.
Yeah. And remember, there may be an opportunity, because DCR said, oh, we're going to fix up that fence. Well, DCR, if you're going to fix up that fence, how about you just move it back? And so we might not be on the hook. And I say this very lightly, because we can't ask DCR to do anything. But if they were going to move it, or if they were going to upgrade it anyway, would they consider upgrading it further up the way? So it might be an opportunity to cut costs on the project. If DCR is going to move it anyway, or upgrade it anyway, there might be some shared costs there. So that
who's going to build the parking places?
DPW.
Okay, and we have to pay them for that, definitely though,
No,
right?
DPW has offered that as an in-kind support
Oh,
Mhm.
okay, good.
for 22,000.
Don't think of it as a very elaborate parking space.
It's
Well,
two
as
parking
long
spots, one
as
for a
long as
car,
it
one for a van.
as
Yeah.
long as yes, as long as it meets ADA requirements.
Yes, it will meet all those requirements.
Okay.
Yep.
And
So,
we
okay,
can-
so that's great. And I don't have a meeting yet set with Amanda. We're just waiting to hear back. I am a little concerned. I will just say that we're approaching the end of September. The grant was announced in June. So June, July, August, September, that took 3 months for contracting, which is well beyond what I had anticipated, which is fine. I'm very ambitious with my timelines, and no one else is when it comes to state agencies, and that's fine. So what that means is if we don't get the contracts until the end of September, and then we have to go through the town council and the select board, and there's a fall town meeting, and it's not a priority. You see the writing on the wall. It may take another month or two for us to get contracting in place. So I want us to be prepared for that. And by then, it's October, November. So the ground's not frozen yet, but maybe we can get on AnyFence's schedule. But you see, it's going to be hard for AnyFence to work with us if we don't have a finite date or a finite time frame. So we're going to have to kind of play it easy and see what we can do to make it work. And worst case scenario, we miss our fall opportunity, but we're rearing to go and ready in the spring. When
Are we anticipating that there would be big input from these groups that you mentioned, or are they essentially going to be rubber stamping this?
I don't know. I can't imagine DCR being very flexible with any pushback from us. And the contracting is going to be what the contracting is, but I think it's going to be working through the town process. It's going to be
the good thing, fencing, as long as we don't have a hard ground, frozen, they can go as late in the season as the weather permits.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's a really warm, remember we spoke with our buddy there and he's like, if it's a really warm winter, the longer you can
do it right in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Great.
So yeah, so I like that idea. Let's go forward with that. Let's
okay.
go to
fencing and signage where we can. Okay, great.
Fencing, signage, and the gate.
Yep. Good.
Good idea.
So updated on ARPA funding and stuff. So the other good news is we have a shed. But we don't have a shed until after October 3rd. Okay. So you guys seeing the shed screen now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The beautiful shed.
They even put sold Southborough Trails on their website. So it's kind of cute. So I went and tried to purchase. So the original one we were looking at was for, I think it was $3,800, and it was the DuraTemp, which is a wood. And when I started to ask questions about wood versus vinyl, he's like, well, the maintenance every 7 years or so, you have to paint the shed. So I was like, no. And so for just a little bit more, like a few $100s more, we could get this one, which is vinyl. And so it's less maintenance costs. And I was incorrect about it not being a delivery cost. There's a $300 delivery cost. So this shed, originally priced at $5,900, not including delivery, is now, so we purchased it and it's getting delivered for $4,600. Okay, so that's a $1,600 savings from their original quote. Take it for what it is,
Great.
It is, yeah. So it has windows, so we don't, that was one of our concerns. And it has a wide door. The door is, it looks like both doors would open so you can get larger equipment in and out. 8x12 is going to be plenty big. And we're going to, DPW found a wonderful location for us at the cemetery, where the Sudbury Reservoir Trail does that 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
We always have to do trail maintenance right in here. It's always like it grows in very thick. It will be right there.
Is that right behind the building there? Yeah, I know what it is. That's a good place.
Yes.
That's where the trail comes to that bridge
Yes.
in the cemetery there. And then, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And, yeah, it's perfect. And DPW agreed to do the grading and dump the gravel and create the little foundation for us. So
Perfect.
We can
DPW
we can also put up, like, you know, some of those LED lights, battery powered lights inside.
tap lights and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Or
you know,
Satya had a
they're really cheap, and
Yeah.
you know, there's something that you know, would
Yeah.
make it a little bit more usable sometimes, depending
Yeah.
on how dark
And
it is.
I think Sati had suggested solar tap lights or solar lights of some sort. We might be able to do that.
Mhm.
Great. Okay.
Let's get the shed first before we do.
Well, I
decorating.
know. But anyway, so that was
Curtains.
and it's going to be, it
Yeah.
wasn't my favorite, but it's fine. It's going to be an olive green, not the beige, but that's what they had. And I got over it quickly because it's a good price. And so I worked with the town accountant. We have a purchase order. Skips typically requires prepayment, but with a purchase order, they accepted that as an option. And then we just have to have a check in hand when they do the delivery, so they can just take it and get paid then. So we've worked all those details out. It's not available until after October 3rd because it is on display at the Big E.
Oh, okay.
And so then we'll schedule a time for them to come out. And I just touched base with DPW. They're all set this morning, and they're all set to do the prep and whatnot. They did ask us to ask Skip what size truck, that kind of stuff, because there are some restrictions going back there, I guess. I didn't realize the access restrictions at the cemetery, but we'll figure that out.
Mhm.
That's that.
Nice.
Do they have like a crane or something to get that off the truck, or do they?
Just a little flat blade with a pickup.
Yeah, they just
What do they slide it off?
slide it off. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
They have like little
Yeah.
wheels or jacks. They just move. it
yeah,
around.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
So what
So-
about the lock?
Hmm?
Lock. Do we need lock or something?
Yeah, we do. A big one. We'll have, I didn't.
We don't need no lock. We're a safe community.
No, that's not
Big
the
lock, very
point.
big lock.
Big.
It's in the cemetery. Who's gonna take anything? They don't need it anymore.
Okay. So that's that. So I'll keep you posted on when we do the delivery, and if anyone's around to join me, that'd be
Can I
great.
ask you the name of that tool again, Catherine? I forgot to
Yes,
write it
it's
down.
a weed cutter. So you'll see it as a dual edge weed cutter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just look for the handle size. So I got the shorter one, and I think, didn't you agree, Will, a little bit longer handle would make sense? They come really short handled, like a 36-inch. You might want the 48-inch.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
right.
just felt like a longer handle would.
All right. We don't have
I'd have to go back and use it again to get a definitive ruling on that. But yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so next topic is good news again. The AG's office has approved the bylaw, the Trails Committee bylaw, as of August 24th. And
Wow.
so
That's record time.
is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what, May, June, July? No, that's about 90 days, right? May, June, July, August. Yeah, that's a long time, right? They have 90 days to do it. So it's about that. Anyway, so the select board is going to take up, and maybe next meeting, I don't know, 9, 12, 20, they're going to dissolve the Trails Committee and then reappoint all of us, hopefully, if we're nice, reappoint us to the standing committee. Okay. And so we've got a couple of things to talk about, which is, if you recall from our bylaw, which I'll recirculate because I just got it before the meeting, because we didn't have an official copy of the bylaw that after the amendments that ripped us apart and lost our associate members. Sorry, I'm still sensitive. Anyway, so I'll circulate that to the team, so you guys, the committee, so you guys have that. But in the committee, in the charge or the bylaw language, we had, or our friend Tim had set it up so that we have staggering terms. So their initial appointment is like for 2 years, and a couple gets for 1 year, and then it rotates like that. So there's 5 of us, and I don't know how many we need to choose to, so voting members shall be appointed for 2 years. The initial appointment shall be divided among 1 and 2 year terms so as to establish overlapping terms. So do we have interest in going for 2 years? I'll put my hat in. I would love to be nominated for 2 years, so I don't have to do one more thing, one more year. But is there anybody else who wants to be? We can do 3 and 2 or 2 and 3, however you want to do it.
So
nominations.
So there's 5 of us, and the max we can do is 3 years. So do you
No,
want to
the max is 2 years.
Oh, 2 years. So
Yeah.
so why don't we do 3 2s and 2 1s?
Yeah, 3 2s and 2 1s. And Mark said we could make a recommendation on who should get 2s and who should get 1s.
All right.
I'll be glad to take 1 if no one else.
And maybe we should, if we're okay with it, and Isabella, please speak up. But you know, Tom, Kat, and Sati have been on the committee the longest. So if we did that for the 3 years, that we get nominated for 2, and that Will and Isabella get nominated for 1, is there any hard feelings if we do that kind of split?
Sounds good.
No, that's totally fine.
Just so that everybody is grossly obvious, that means you'll get the notification from the town clerk and 1 year from now to reappoint.
And you'll have to go in and re-swear.
No, you don't have to re-swear.
Oh, you don't?
You
I
might.
had to, actually.
Oh,
We all did this year, remember? We're back to it.
Yeah, I had to
Is it every time?
re-swear for the Public Accessibility Committee, but maybe that's because it changed the name. I don't know. So you could be right. You could be right.
I just want to put that out there. So everybody who does the 1 year, a year from now, you gotta go back to the town clerk and swear and swear in. And then the other 3 would be 2 years doing the exact same thing.
But does the year start, like, does it all end on 6/30, the fiscal year, so that everything happens at the same time? Or do bylaw
Probably.
committees year line up with when they were charged? Like,
I think it's all the same date.
I would
I
hope that they
think
line
it's
up.
all. I think it's all 6:30. Yes.
Yeah, because that would be
Fiscal year,
annoying.
And actually, I ran into a situation where I was appointed to a committee and they didn't line it up for 6:30, but in reality, they should have. And so it got all confused there for a while.
Okay.
But 6:30, I would just recommend that everybody do 6:30 and then you're fine. And I assume that after this first year, then everyone will be on a 2-year appointment schedule.
Yes.
Okay.
So then after the 1 years, they get 2 years. And
Yes.
then they get 2
Right.
years after 2
Yeah,
years.
then we will have staggering.
Okay.
So I personally don't care if somebody wants a 2 and they feel like they can't go back in. It's a pain to do the swearing in. I'll do the 1.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't really, it doesn't matter to me.
I think Sam Stivers would agree that he wants more opportunities to appoint me. So
Okay. So you get it.
And Sam never even said hello to me at the transfer station. He ignored me.
that's a good
But
thing.
I've got-
Trust me.
So I tried to get clarity on this question and I have not received clarity. So I'm going to propose something that might be incorrect, but I'm interested in trying it out. And I'd like the committee to talk about it and see if you want to vote on it. So I don't know how this works when we get dissolved and then we get reappointed. The committee has to elect the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary / clerk. My question is, can we do it as an ad hoc committee now?
No, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I would wait. I'd wait on that.
I would wait until we're actually a real committee.
Well, so we are a real committee, please.
I know.
This is the reason I ask, because it's really it boils down to an efficiency thing. Because once we become a standing committee, say they do that on the 20th, say the select board votes for us. And Sam, if you're listening and have any opinion on this, we'd be happy to take your thoughts on it. But the reason is, so then we would just be a committee without a chair or anyone. And how, do we pull together a meeting? Do we just do it as if I would continue to pull the chair? Would I just continue to act like that until we get voted in? And if we did it now as an ad hoc to say, okay, contingent upon the select board dissolving the ad hoc, we as an ad hoc committee are voting our members in for our standing committee in the future.
I think there's just too much leap of faith.
Okay.
We're dissolving something
Okay.
and creating something, and we all have to get reappointed. They could say no to somebody.
I know. So I'm going to let Sam talk. He raised his hand. So maybe
Okay,
he
Sam.
can shed some light. Oops. There you go.
Thanks. I think we'll deliberate on Tom's reappointment, but everybody else should be in good shape.
I don't know.
You're itching for another opportunity to appoint me there, Sam. Right?
There have been some anonymous reports that we need to follow up on.
Yeah.
You mean that swimming pool I've been starting to build?
That's right, exactly. Submersive activity, or whatever. The dissolution and recreation item is on the tentative agenda for 9/20. So I expect that will be done then. And Kat, to your question, I think this is the same issue for any new committee that starts up. Basically, technically, there is no chair typically. And so everybody just meets initially, and somebody can volunteer to put together an agenda and whatever and post it and not title themselves or whatever. Okay. And then one of the first acts the committee does is to consider officers and elections and so forth. Okay. So I don't think it's a big deal.
Okay, so it's a little unorthodox for my proposal is the ad hoc to go ahead and do everything in advance.
Yeah, I don't think that,
like it sounds.
Yeah, I'm not an attorney, but I don't think that works probably.
Okay. Again, I tried to get clarity and ask, but I didn't get that answer.
I think there's no clear model for that, but as long as everybody's prepared to deal with it at the first meeting of the new committee, I think that should work fine. So,
okay, thank you, Sam. I appreciate that.
Free advice is worth it most what you pay for it, so be careful. But
yeah, true. So I think what it means though is in order for us to conduct business as we need to as a committee, and me as a chair or whoever, we're going to need to meet soon after that meeting to be able to make that work. But we have to meet anyway for the Heritage Day stuff. So,
right. So
even if we do a quick meeting, it can just be a shorter meeting for that purpose.
We can actually have a meeting, say that week or the week afterwards. We appoint officers and discuss Heritage Day, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it.
Sam, hopefully you'll say hi to me next time you're at the transfer.
I don't recall snubbing you. I apologize.
That's funny.
I usually like to know when I'm snubbing somebody, so I'm sorry. We'll do that inadvertently. I will watch carefully for you next time. Maybe it was the dog that I saw instead of you.
Maybe.
Got distracted. Okay. Okay. So I think we're a little bit over our time, but we're in good shape. Thank you for that. So we'll choose a time for our next meeting based on that information. Trail maintenance, I don't have any updates. Does anyone have any updates? I've not been paying attention.
9/11's looking decent. I got to go back there. The fishermen seem to be doing a lot more fishing now, and they've been leaving their trash. So I was there actually tonight. I just have to bring a little bag. That weed whacker thing, that dual edge weed cutter, I try to look on Amazon. I'm going to need that for a couple of sections, and that's it. I can take care of that the next time I'm there.
The Trails Committee has that tool. If you want.
I know. I was going to buy my own because I'm going to need it in my own yard, but I will borrow the committee's one until I get my own.
Okay. Well,
and I'm
let
going
me
to
know.
put my name on it. And
yeah. Gotcha.
I'll give you a call, Kat, to borrow the one.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
But like I said, that's the latest trail I've been on is the 9/11. I haven't been down to Ward by Isabella's section, neighborhood, I should say, in a while.
Isabella, have you been out there? I haven't been to Ward Road in a long time.
No, I haven't been in a while, but I would assume that it's pretty overgrown. I drive by it pretty often, like on Johnson Road.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if when MWRA is scheduled to do their second mow, which we'll talk about later about fixing our own problem. But speaking of Ward Road, there is an issue with the post there. It's falling down, so it's too loose, and it's a short post, and we've run out of room. So I tried to put one of those no dog walking signs, and I was like, I had to get very creative with where I put it, and the whole post almost fell over. So we've got to fix that. And then one of the monofilament fishing line recycling bins, I want to say it was Middle Road, fell off also. So I have it at my house now. It's full of fishing line, which is great. So Tom, I don't know if you have the recycling option.
Yeah, when I go get that tool, I will talk to you. I'll collect that stuff, and I haven't been since the beginning of the summer, the fishing lines. I'll go around again and empty them.
Yeah, you know what I've noticed, and I've got to now that we have a small budget, and I need the committee's approval. They're like a couple dollars. So those, the recycling receptacles have a hole, right, where you put the fishing line. But we want to keep that hole closed because it's actually dangerous for cavity nesting birds. They will go in there and try to nest, and then they'll get all tangled with the fishing line. So we put those little plastic lids on that fit perfectly, but some of them have been ripped off and such, especially Deerfoot, I think, is one. So I need to replace some of those, and then we can empty and then just check a couple of other things. So there are some things like that that we can do, and we can figure that out during our next couple meetings. But I haven't looked at Deerfoot. I would imagine Deerfoot needs some love and care, some TLC, because that tends to grow up. And I do think when I went to the cemetery to check out the site walk for the shed, that little area that grows in needs some trimming back. So perhaps we can do an evening after work. I know the days are getting much shorter now, but it really only takes, a half hour at Route 85, a half hour at Deerfoot for a couple people would probably be able to. And if we got started around 5, we would have still an hour and a half of time of light. So I might reach out if you guys are open to that and just see who's around, see what we can do. Okay, great. And so just to use time wisely, no updates on the accessibility and inclusion statement. Will, you were going to maybe reach out to Isabel?
Yeah, I have not reached out to Isabel,
Okay.
so I apologize to that.
No worries. I have not done the updates, so we're even.
Are we in a race here or what?
Well, actually, so the website updates, we should target. So when we do Heritage Day, we want to make sure all our maps are updated. Our website is nice and updated. All the projects are current because we're going to be driving traffic there. So I'll certainly put that on the priority list. I've been talking about it all year, but I will get it done in the next few weeks. So a few projects at work have lightened up. So I have a little more time in my head to think about these things. So that will be nice. And yeah. And so committee roles, I think we are still, that's still a focus of ours. And as we plan out our guided hikes, I think we're going to be able to divide some of that out and develop some of those rules. But we won't forget that it's important that moving forward, that we make sure that everyone feels like they have an active role, that they bring something to the meeting, and that they own something. So if you guys can continue to think about what it is that you want, how you want to contribute to the committee, other than just attending our meetings, what piece of it do you want to own? What kind of contribution do you want to have, so that we can carve out a piece for everybody?
Okay. Can I add one thing to the agenda here?
As long as it fits with one of these bullets, yes, you can.
Well, I sort of think it does. At the Public Accessibility Committee meeting yesterday, Bonnie Fanoff was wondering, the Park Central development is coming back, and is going to happen. And the question she had was would there be some way to create a connector from Park Central to, let's say, the nearest trail, like Aqueduct Trail?
That would be the Beals.
Oh, the Beals Preserve.
It would be the Beals Preserve. And I think as long as the land, whoever owns the lands abut to each other, then it would be the Beals Preserve agreeing to a trail extension, and then Park Central agreeing to doing that, and they meet in the middle. I think that's doable, but without a map of ownership of the properties, do they even connect to each other?
I'm not sure, and that's something we'll have to research, or I'll have to research. I'll work with Bonnie on that. She's big into looking at that project, looking at the planning committee documents. But that would be nice. It would be another opportunity for exercise, and knitting Park Central into the community.
Oh no, that'd be really good if they can actually. But again, that's out. We're not Beals Preserve though.
I understand.
We don't have the authority.
But anything we can do to kind of help and support, we're open to it.
Yes.
Yeah, I was kind of amazed at how many units or how many people will probably end up in there. It was amazing. It's like 50, probably 1,000 to 1,500 people.
The town's going to grow by 10%.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Yeah, based on the number of units they're putting in.
Increased taxes. Good.
No, increased school expenditures.
Okay, so I think we're at a point where we can schedule our next meeting.
Yep.
And so let's bring out our calendars and take a look at I guess, so I think that we should try, if possible, for next week, either Wednesday or Thursday, the 21st or 22nd. How does that sound to you guys? The 22nd will give me a little more time to coordinate with the leaders of the hikes to get.
Thursday is not good.
Thursday is not good? Okay.
Wednesday's not good for me, unfortunately.
Wednesday's not good for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to shoot for the 27th, Tuesday again?
Yeah. Okay.
That would be fine with me.
Okay. So I think that works too. Let me just double check something, because the one question I just want to see is what was our schedule, and I have way too many. Okay. So we were first going to try something on the 10/8. So if we were to meet, yeah, that gives us
2 weeks or so, or
Gives
a
us
week
2
and a
weeks
half.
of Heritage Day.
Oh. Oh, you know what? It's okay. So we've already confirmed that we want to do something, and it was just me coordinate. So we can still finalize a hike before our next meeting, which I think we're going to need to do to make that timeline if we're going to do something on the 8th. So if we can meet the 27th, that's fine. Let me just double check, because I've got an implementation meeting. I think that's though on the 28th. Yes. So the 27th is fine. 7:30 good for everybody.
Yes.
Yes.
Bella too.
Yes, this works.
So this is the 27th. Okay, wonderful. So I will circulate in advance then some planning ideas for Heritage Day, reach out to some people and ask for some donations and see what we can pull off there, and finalize the hike for that. And so we'll probably have to do some advertising before that, and sounds good. Okay, great. So is there anything else that on the agenda that we need to talk about?
Do we confirm the 27th, 7:30?
Yeah, 27th. And that's going to be
daylight getting later. What? I mean, I'm okay to move it up to 7.
Well, yeah. Sati, I think you had some constraints. Okay. Yeah. And then I just want to reemphasize that the 27th is going to be really important for all of us to be here, because we're going to be voting in officers. So I want to make sure everyone's in attendance and everyone's voice is heard and vote is counted. It's an important meeting. Okay. Yep. Okay, great. Okay, great. So can we, does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the September 13th Trails Committee meeting.
Great. And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And all in favor, Tom McCoolier?
Yes.
Will Warren?
Yes.
Satyendra Sharma?
Yes.
Isabella Bogdansky?
Yes.
And Kat McKee. Great. So we adjourn at 8:51. Thank you all. This was a great meeting, a little bit longer, but I really appreciate it. A lot of good stuff going on. Okay. So the next time we see each other, we will not be.
We'll be citizens at large.
We will be a standing committee.
No, we'll be citizens at large until they reappoint us.
They would have reappointed us on the 20th. Yeah. So next time we meet, we're going to be a standing committee.
Yes, you're right. We will be.
So we have to stand up? Wow. Okay.
All right. See you guys. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.
Night.
Bye all.
Have a good night, everyone.